my name is Rebecca Atkinson. For those of you who don't know me, I own Sober Island Brewing Company. I chose to move back here 4 years ago and start this business. I'm 30 now, so I was 26. So I am part of that next generation that we're talking about. I plan on living here my entire life and dedicating myself to my business and my community. So all of this just breaks my heart. I'm pro-change for the area because we are dying, as much as people don't want to believe or see it. I think the best thing, though, is how we can influence the change. And Charles, I want to thank you and your team for being willing to adapt to our needs as a community. And like you said earlier, not everything is going to be able to be accommodated. But if we can help to get the best scenario out of this, it's better than us being forced into some change that we don't have any influence over later. So I just really would ask, I guess for clarification, what you're asking for tonight through this consultation is for permission to go and talk to the government and get your permits. Is that right?
We will have to make a determination after this evening whether we would apply for an option. Now, I don't know that there's a process in the community for how a community can vote on a project or how they can do that. We can apply for an option to provincial fisheries on our own accord. That then starts, as Peter Connors described, a full permit and lease consultation thereafter. The option doesn't give us the right to do anything. It only gives us the ability to then apply for a permit that starts a full public consultation process as just like this, but with agencies of government participating, as well as requires a number of environmental studies, requires full engineering studies of the site, all of which gets evaluated by the permitting agencies and the consulting agencies before we could be granted a permit. So nothing about a night like this approves anything for us to be able to do. What this does, it helps us get a sense of whether what we've tried to do, what we've tried to communicate, our listening to what we've heard, our ability to respond to it, whether that process that we've gone through is something that we think is working and makes sense with the community. Obviously, we are hearing tonight very strong statements from a number of people, if not everyone. I don't know everyone in Malagash. In Mushaboom. I don't know everyone in Mushaboom, but there's a big contingent here that are clearly opposed to this project. We hear that, and we understand it. So what we will have to do, as well as hearing, and it's like a wedding, you've got the groom and the bride, or the bride and the groom on each side. It's kind of a little strange, but it's the way people sit down everywhere. If you go into a classroom and everyone takes the same seat every day, it's the same thing. But in those instances, what we need to do is try to understand whether over this process of a year, we've been able to communicate that we do desire to work with a community, not impose anything on a community, and see if there's a way we can work together. This is not something we, Catherine, Lori, myself, and our whole team can do by ourselves.
Thanks, Charles.
We do it with the community. Thank you.
So just to close on that then, I guess what I'm asking of my community is that we say yes to them getting to the next step, because there are so many more steps, and we will have opportunities to work with them to really influence, how this goes, and we need change in our area. And so for that, I'm pro-sanctuary.
Hello. My name is Vicki Rutledge. My name is Vicki Rutledge, and I moved to this community 29 years ago on December the 5th, 1990, with my husband, who was born and raised here and insisted on moving back to the community. I, like most of the people in this room, love fresh lobster, love our fishermen, appreciate the hard work that they do during those months when they're out in those cold waters. And have supported the fishermen with the MPA and all sorts of other things. But I also need to say there are more people in this community besides fishermen. There are doctors, there are nurses, there are clerks at the Foodland store, there are maintenance people at the hospital, there are people working in the cafeteria at the hospital, there's candy post workers, there's bank tellers, there are all sorts of occupations in this community. And I believe that with these few whales that we can treat as respectful senior citizens and give them a pristine home that only we can offer is an honor. And we should be grateful that we have that opportunity. The waters are huge and the fishermen have lots of water from Econsequent to wherever it is they fish. I don't know their boundaries, but I am a kayaker and I've been out around Westfields and Allagash. I know the vastness of the ocean. I respect it immensely. I feel that the ripple effect from bringing, this sanctuary here would be maybe a fish and chip joint might pop up. Or, Lyer Island in Digby, for example. Seriously, my parents my mother's from Digby, from a little island in Tiverton. You go there now, the fishermen are taking, on the off season, they're taking folks out to see the whales on the hopes that they might see a whale. And, it's a great little summer spot to go to and enjoy. Nobody's out in those waters from when? January, March, out fishing and dropping their lines. They're not. Recreation fishermen aren't out there. No, I'm not out there in my kayak. And I also want to say, when I look around this room, most of us are going to be in our graves. We're not going to be here 50 years from now. This is something for our children, and I just see it as a future for Sheet Harbour. The forgotten shore right here, when I'm in the city, Sheet Harbour, where's that? People don't have a clue where we are, and that can be like yes, it can be a sanctuary, and it can be a peaceful feeling, but it can also be very frustrating when you can't get emergency care when you have your grandchildren living here, and and they're children and infants, and there's nowhere to take them to emergency because the community is dying. 69 people died in 2019 in this community. 69 people. Ask Bruce Kroll. I worked with Canada Post for 23 years, and the only people moving into this community, or the vast amount, I shouldn't say the only, were either retired professionals that were able to afford the best of the properties that we have, or people that are on social assistance because it's cheaper to house them here in our low housing. So those are the facts. That's my opinion. I think it's wonderful. I applaud you. I appreciate the hard work you've done, and I really am honored that you've chosen our community, and I hope that it doesn't cause such a divide among us that we can't even speak to each other in the grocery store. That would sadden me.
Thank you.